Two people are dead after a semi-truck collided with a passenger car on Highway 313 Sunday afternoon. According to Montana Highway Patrol Trooper Kyle Hayter, the crash happened between Hardin and St. Xavier, and Trooper Hayter said that incident occurred around 1:30 this afternoon when a semi traveling southbound slid into the northbound lane of a sweeping curve on the highway, then colliding with a four-door passenger car traveling north. The semi then went off the road and briefly caught fire. The driver of the car and a passenger, both adult males, were pronounced dead on scene, while another passenger, female, was airlifted to a Billings hospital via help flight with undisclosed injuries. The driver of the semi was uninjured. In eastern Montana, the Fort Peck Tribes and Roosevelt County Sheriff's Office investigating what they call an unattended death south of Fort Kipp. The Sheriff's Office is asking for the public's help in identifying the male body. A black New York Yankee hat was recovered from the scene, along with square wired rim glasses. A black FUBU shoes were also located, and the investigation has now been turned over to the FBI. If you have any information leading to the identification, please contact Sheriff Frederick at 406-489-1564. Now in western Montana, authorities are investigating the Saturday evening discovery of a body near Frenchtown. The Missoula County Sheriff's Office reports that deputies were notified that a body had been found in a field near the Smurfit Stone Mill at around 8:30 p.m. The remains will be sent to the Montana State Crime Lab so that an autopsy can be performed. The Sheriff's Office reports that it may not have any information of the person's gender or identity for several weeks. And this marks the second body found in the Missoula area on Saturday. The first body was found at 9 in the morning in the culvert near Catland and 4th Street area. Well, yesterday we reported that Shepherd Public Schools Superintendent Scott Carter had been placed on administrative leave with pay for conduct that violated school district policy. Today, Carter brought light to those allegations in a letter on the Shepherd High School Facebook page. Carter saying that he violated the trust of the community by showing up to work on Thursday morning smelling like alcohol. Carter wrote that he was drinking late Wednesday night into early Thursday morning. When he showed up to work that morning, a staff member thought they smelled alcohol, and he admits in the letter that he did in fact have alcohol on his breath. Carter said he realizes that he has a problem bigger than himself and immediately sought treatment and counseling. That treatment is ongoing, and Carter says that he has never drank at work in his 25-plus-year career. He promises to accept any sanctions, but prays that he is allowed to continue to lead the Shepherd School District. Today, Governor Steve Bullock told a national TV audience why he sees himself as the best choice to be the Democratic nominee for president. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian looks at the arguments Bullock made during his town hall appearance.
On Sunday, Governor Steve Bullock made his case to Democratic primary voters in an hour-long nationally televised town hall in New York City, hosted by CNN. He highlighted his record as a Democrat elected in a state that also voted for President Donald Trump, and said Democrats need to do more to appeal to voters in rural areas.
If we can't win back places that we lost, we're not going to win this election.
Bullock criticized Trump for his policies on trade and for his actions on Russia and North Korea, but he also drew contrasts with some of his Democratic rivals, saying some of their proposals go too far. Responding to a question from a high school student concerned about gun violence, Bullock endorsed some new regulations, including universal background checks. He said those measures can win support even from some gun owners.
It can no longer just be a political issue. And I'm counting on you. I'm counting on gun owners to finally break what's happened in Washington, D.C.
Bullock said he opposed some Democrats' Medicare for All proposals that would end private health insurance. Instead, he wants to add a public insurance option to the existing Affordable Care Act, known as Obamacare.
The greatest stride that we made since Medicaid and Medicare was Obamacare. I want to build on that, not start all over.
Bullock said the solutions on these and other issues won't be found without addressing one of his top priorities, outside spending and dark money in U.S. elections.
If we really want to talk about climate, if we want to talk about health care costs, if we want to talk about gun safety, if we want to talk about income inequality, they're at the core of all of this.
This town hall could be an especially important national platform for Bullock, as he is considered unlikely to qualify for the next Democratic presidential candidates debate on September 12th. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
Bullock again said during his town hall that he will absolutely not consider running against Republican Senator Steve Daines in 2020. Well, the states of Montana and Wyoming consistently rank among the highest rates of suicide in the nation. Until this year, there were no psychiatric residency programs available in the state of Montana. Last night, the Billings Clinic Classic raising $2 million for an endowment for the Billings Clinic's new psychiatric residency program. Q2's Mitch Laggy shares how the residency program hopes to change what mental health care looks like in Montana.
The width of Montana is about the same distance as Washington, D.C. is to Chicago. Between those two major cities, there are over 30 psychiatric residency programs, educating professionals on how to help people struggling with their mental health. In 2019, the Billings Clinic, in partnership with the University of Washington, established the first psychiatric residency program here in Montana.
Really, I think this residency program is going to transform mental health care in the state, and so we're incredibly fortunate that we have all of the support through Billings Clinic to make this happen.
The goal of the residency program is to provide more access to mental health care across the region and get doctors to stay there.
And the only way to do that is to do things differently than we've been doing them before. So what we're trying to do is use things like telepsychiatry, like integrating ourselves into primary care providers' offices so we can be consultants. And in that way, we can make sure that everyone who needs mental health services can get it.
One in the first class of residents is Brian Schlitt. He's originally from Casper, Wyoming, and says practicing psychiatry in rural areas can be more rewarding because one doctor's reach can have an effect on many people.
You're affecting people who might not otherwise have the opportunity to have any sort of care in these places. So I'd say that practicing in Montana is more fulfilling.
Q2's Victoria Hill shared her battle with postpartum depression with folks at the Classic. She says the sooner you reach out, the better.
I think that if people realize doctors are there for a reason, they're there to do their job, the doctors are there to help. And if you don't feel comfortable talking to a family member or a friend about what's going on, just know that the doctor is there, and that doctor could be your first stepping stone to a happier, healthier life. The sooner you speak up, the sooner you talk to someone, the better, and all the problems can go away just that easy. Because when I did speak up and I did get help, so much weight was lifted off of my shoulders, and I want everyone to know that too. So if they are going through some sort of battle in their head, mental illness in their head, then they can get the help because it is out there for them.
In Billings, Mitch Laggy, MTN News.
Thank you, Mitch. And again, the foundation raised a total of $2 million towards its $3.3 million goal. We look forward to tracking the progress of the residency program. Well, stay with us. More to come here on Q2 for the 10 o'clock news. Trade tensions continue to put a damper on every aspect of the agricultural industry. After the break, we shed light on another area of the industry that has felt that pressure. Later in sports, the story of how one man uses bronc riding to cope with an immense tragedy. But first, let's check in with Rob Griggs over in the Weather Center.
Well, Zoe, we're going to have our first look at the Labor Day weekend forecast. We're also going to let you know what to expect as we begin the work week tomorrow. The complete Q2 Storm Tracker forecast in just a few minutes.
You're watching MTN News with Zoe Zandora, Storm Tracker weather with Rob Griggs, and sports with Casey Conlon. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.